All right, let's get into it. We're about to explore a way of reading ancient texts that has been almost completely forgotten. It's a method that didn't just tolerate contradictions in a text, it actually saw them as the secret to unlocking a much deeper truth. It's a wild thought, isn't it? I mean, today we are obsessed with getting back to the original, the one pure version of everything. But what if that entire quest is actually making us miss the whole point of the text in the first place? Just think about modern biblical scholarship. The entire field, really, is built around this hunt for the original. You've got these major academic series, and their one goal is to use every tool in the box to reconstruct the earliest, most authentic text. The whole game is about stripping away variations to find the one true version. But you know what? An ancient Christian thinker would have looked at all this and thought we were doing it completely backwards. And to really get why, we need to look at one of the most incredible scholarly projects of the ancient world, a project that seems to do the exact opposite of what we try to do today. It's called the Hexapla, created by the scholar Origen back in the 3rd century. This thing was a beast. We're talking thousands and thousands of pages, a truly massive undertaking. And its purpose wasn't to create one clean text, but to put all the different versions on display. So that's the real mystery here. Why on earth would anyone go to all that trouble just to highlight contradictions instead of erasing them? Just look at how this was set up. Origen meticulously laid out 6 different versions of the Old Testament right next to each other. He wasn't trying to hide the differences or smooth them over. No, he was putting them on full display. This wasn't some kind of flaw in the project, it was the entire point. And this gets us right to the heart of this ancient method. You see, the Hexapla wasn't a tool for finding the correct text, not in our modern sense. It was more like a machine designed to teach a completely different way of reading. So here's the big split in thinking. Modern scholars are kind of like textual archaeologists. They're trying to dig backwards, peeling away layers to find that one single pristine original. But Origen and the people who learned from him, well, they worked forward. They found meaning in the dynamic, electric space between all these different versions. And this quote just nails it. For these ancient readers, the truth wasn't a thing you found in column 1 or column 3 or column 5. Nope. The truth was in the conversation, the dialogue that sparked to life when you held all the columns in your mind at the same time. There's a name for this, of course. Dialectical hermeneutics. The goal isn't just to add up little bits of meaning from each version. Instead, you treat every variant as its own unique theological take, like a different spotlight hitting the same object from a different angle. The meaning doesn't get built up brick by brick. It emerges from the tension and the interplay between all these different voices. Okay, so that's the theory, but what does this actually look like in practice? Well, there's a fantastic example from 2 4th century theologians, Basil of Caesarea and Gregory of Nyssa, who were absolute masters of this. They looked at the very first word of the entire Bible. Now, most Greek versions translated the Hebrew as en arche, which means in the beginning. Pretty straightforward. But another highly respected version by a translator named Aquila had it as en kephalioi, which means something more like in summary or all at once. A modern scholar would immediately try to figure out which one is correct, but Basil and Gregory, they did something so much more interesting. And here is the genius of it. They didn't pick a winner. They basically said, what if both are true? The tension between these two words revealed a deeper, more complex truth, that creation was both an instantaneous, all-at-once event and a process that unfolds over time from a single starting principle. They didn't solve the contradiction. They found a richer truth inside of it. You know, this way of reading wasn't just some clever trick. It was actually rooted in a very profound philosophical idea about what writing and language really are. The air they breathed was full of ideas like this one from Plato. The basic thought is that words written on a page are static. They're just ink. They're a kind of dead image. The real thing, the living and ensouled word, only happens in a live, dynamic dialogue, in the give and take of a real conversation. And once you get that, the whole purpose of the hexapla just clicks. It was basically a tool for reanimating the dead letters on the page. By putting these different versions side by side, it forced the reader to hear them as distinct voices in a conversation. The text was no longer a flat monologue. It became a living, breathing dialogue happening right there in front of you. So, this brings us full circle. This ancient way of thinking offers a radical and I think really important challenge to how we think about texts and truth today. It really all comes down to this powerful idea. The truth isn't some static object you just dig up and dust off. It's not in column 1 or column 2 or column 5. It's in the space between them. It's something that emerges when you have the courage to hold different, even contradictory, perspectives together at the same time. And that leaves us with a pretty big question for ourselves. In a world that feels so polarized, where everybody is desperately searching for the one correct take, what could we learn from this? What if the most profound truths aren't in the answers we find, but in the challenging, complicated, and beautiful space we create between them?